Many times in knitting, you want to have a really nice professional finished edge for any of your single rib or double rib hems or cuffs. So the easiest way to do that is with an invisible cast on or a tubular cast on. I'm going to show you how to do that. What you do is you start with half as many stitches as ultimately you want in your ribbing. You're going to cast that on with waste yarn. In my case, the waste yarn is this dark blue here. And you're going to work of just a few rows of that. You're going to end up ripping it out later, but just work a few rows of that, ending with a right side row. And then start with your main body yarn, the lighter colored yarn here, start with a purl side row and knit at least 4 rows. If you are working with a bit of a thicker yarn, you may want to stick with just 4. If you're working with a thinner yarn, you could work less, or I'm sorry, you could work a few more. But this is the way that you're going to reduce bulk and to keep that cast on edge looking real tidy. So if you turn the work over, you can see here that we've finished with the right side row and we're ready to purl back. But you can see, if you take a look, that you've got, on this changing row here, you've got the top of the purl bump of a waste yarn, and you've got the bottoms of purl bumps of the main working yarn. So we're going to be picking up these bumps and turning them into live stitches. So the way to do that is you're going to purl that first stitch as normal. Then you're going to look for that first main yarn purl bump. You're going to pick that up with your left hand needle and place it on, and then just knit that stitch as normal. So again, you're going to purl 1 from the needle, then pick up a purl bump from back to front, place it on the needle and knit it. And you're going to do that all the way across. This is a great cast on for sleeve cuffs, for sweater hems, for any kind of area where you just want to have a lot of elasticity. If you are working a sock cuff from the top down, this is a great cast on since it practically has limitless stretch to it, or it stretches as far as the yarn will. And when you get to the very end of the row, you can see that that last purl bump is fairly tight, but you should still be able to pick it up if you're careful. And you want to make sure that you pick up that purl bump and only that purl bump. So now we've finished. And you can already start to see here that between each knit stitch, we've got a purl stitch. And on the right side is the same thing. So later, when I'm just going to grab my needles here, but later, after you've finished your work, what you can do is you can go back and snip just the waste yarn. Be very careful and snip just the waste yarn at a couple of different points. And when you unpick it, once you unpick it, you'll have a beautiful, very flexible row of single rib. And that's your tubular cast on.
Continue knitting daily every day by joining the online Knitting Daily community and receive a free newsletter 5 times a week, filled with step-by-step techniques, inspiring reader-contributed stories, and free patterns. It's about knitting all the time. KnittingDaily.com.